Let me ask you something. How many days of your life have slipped through your fingers because you were too busy worrying about yesterday or too anxious about tomorrow? How many mornings did you wake up already feeling behind, chasing noise instead of creating peace? Here's the truth. Your life isn't measured in years. It's measured in days. And every day is a chance to either live fully or to let it dissolve into the background. Most people are waiting for some perfect moment to begin living their best life. They say, when I make more money, when I get the right job, when people finally respect me, then I'll feel alive. But life doesn't work like that. If you can't live your best day now, you won't live your best day ever. The ancient Stoics understood this. They knew that life isn't about chasing more. It's about mastering yourself, mastering your focus, and mastering the present moment. They lived by principles that have stood unshaken for thousands of years. And if you practice them, you can turn any ordinary day into the best day of your life. So today, I'm going to share with you 12 Stoic rules, not just philosophies, living tools that will help you rise above stress, take command of your emotions, and experience each day with strength, clarity, and purpose. These are not ideas for someday. These are rules for today. And I promise you this, if you lean in, if you absorb this message and apply even a fraction of what I'm about to share, you won't just live another day. You'll live a day that truly matters. If you want to live your best day, every day, it begins the moment you open your eyes. Think about it. Your morning is the foundation of everything that follows. The first thoughts you allow, the first actions you choose, they shape the tone, the energy, and even the opportunities you attract for the rest of the day. Most people roll out of bed reacting. The alarm goes off, and immediately they're checking their phone, scrolling through notifications, diving into other people's agendas before they've even centered themselves. By the time they've brushed their teeth, they're already behind in their own mind. They've surrendered control of their state before the day even had a chance to start. And when you start reactive, you spend the rest of the day chasing instead of creating. But here's the truth. If you master your morning, you master your mind. And if you master your mind, you master your life. That's not some motivational catchphrase. It's reality. Because the way you show up in that first hour is like striking the tuning fork for the entire day. If you set it with chaos, you carry chaos. If you set it with clarity, you carry clarity. The Stoics taught that control begins within. There's no greater arena to practice than in the first hour of your day. Imagine this. You wake up and instead of grabbing your phone, you take a breath. You remind yourself that today is a gift that billions of people around the world will not get to experience. You stand up and you decide not hope, not wish, but decide that this day will be lived with intention. That's power. That's ownership. Because when you command your morning, you stop being a victim of circumstances and you start being a creator of outcomes. Now, some of you might be thinking, but my mornings are rushed. I don't have time for rituals or philosophies. And I hear you. Life is busy. But let me challenge you. If you don't have 10 minutes to align your mind and body at the start of the day, you don't have a life, you have a prison. You can always make time for what matters. What matters more than the way you condition your state? You're either programming yourself or you're being programmed by the world around you. And if you allow the world to dictate your morning, don't be surprised when your day doesn't feel like it belongs to you. The key is to simplify, not complicate. You don't need an elaborate routine. You need practices that ground you, focus you, and ignite you. Maybe it's breathing deeply and visualizing the person you want to be that day. Maybe it's writing down 3 things you're grateful for, not as a cliche, but as a reset button to remind your brain that life is happening for you, not to you. Maybe it's moving your body, getting your blood flowing, reminding yourself that you are alive, that energy is already within you, waiting to be unleashed. These aren't small actions. They are commands to your nervous system, signals to your mind that you are not here to drift. You are here to direct. And it's not about perfection. Some mornings you'll feel unstoppable. Other mornings you'll feel heavy, distracted, maybe even hopeless. That's the exact reason you need this practice, because discipline is built not when it's easy, but when it's inconvenient. The Stoics would say, don't pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. And your morning is the training ground for that strength. If you can master yourself when it's hard to get up, when you'd rather scroll or snooze, you're not just winning the morning, you're proving to yourself that you are stronger than your impulses. That confidence doesn't stay in the morning. It follows you through the meetings, the challenges, the conflicts, unexpected curveballs of the day. Let's be real, life will throw things at you. You can't predict the traffic jam, the angry client, the sudden bad news. But you can predict how you will meet those challenges if you've already aligned your state. Your mind is centered, when your heart is focused, when your energy is primed, no storm can pull you off course. And it all starts before the storm even shows up. The morning is your armor, it's your shield, it's your sword. Without it, you're exposed. With it, you're unstoppable. I want you to think about the ripple effect. When you rise with intention, you don't just change your day, you change the way you show up for everyone else. Your energy influences your partner, your kids, your coworkers, even strangers you encounter. Ever notice how someone in a bad mood can infect an entire room? Well, the opposite is also true. When you carry strength, calmness, and certainty from your morning into the world, you lift people. You become a thermostat instead of a thermometer. You set the temperature instead of just reading it. That's leadership. That's influence. And it starts with what you do before the rest of the world is even awake. Now let's go even deeper. Does this matter so much? Because life is not guaranteed. None of us knows how many mornings we have left. One day there will be a final sunrise for you and you won't know it's the last one. That thought isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Every morning is a sacred opportunity, and to waste it in distraction or indifference is to dishonor the gift you've been given. When you start your day with that awareness, you stop sleepwalking through life. You stop postponing joy. You stop waiting for some future day to be your best day. You live it now. And here's the beauty. You don't need to overhaul your entire life to make this shift. You just need to commit to one thing. No day starts by accident. That's the rule. Every day begins with a conscious act of setting your mind, your emotions, and your body in alignment. Maybe it's silence. Maybe it's movement. Maybe it's reflection. It's not negotiation. It's a must. And when you hold yourself to that standard, you'll find that not only do you live your best day more often, but you raise the standard for what a best day even means. If you truly want to live your best day every day, stop leaving your mornings to chance. Stop letting the alarm clock dictate your destiny. Take ownership from the moment you wake. You'll discover that the power to shape your life has been in your hands all along. Because the day doesn't own you, you own the day. One of the greatest sources of stress in life isn't what actually happens to us. It's our battle with things we can't control. Think about how much energy is wasted every single day on situations, people, and events that are completely outside of our influence. We get angry because someone cut us off in traffic. We spiral because someone posted something negative online. We replay conversations in our head that already ended. We obsess over what tomorrow might bring. And here's the truth. Hey, none of that changes the outcome. All it does is drain our focus, weaken our spirit, and steal our ability to actually live this day fully. If you really want to experience freedom, you have to draw a line between what's within your control and what isn't. And then ruthlessly discipline yourself to only invest energy into what belongs to you. That's where peace begins. That's where strength begins. Because when you stop trying to wrestle with the wind, you finally have power over your sails. Let me give you an example. Imagine standing on the shore of the ocean, demanding that the tide stop rising. You shout, you beg, you curse the waves. No matter how much emotion you pour into it, the tide is going to do what it does. It's outside of your power. Now picture that same ocean, but this time, instead of fighting the tide, you learn to ride it. You adjust your boat, you set your sails, you navigate with wisdom. Suddenly, the same force that once frustrated you is now propelling you forward. That is the difference between wasting your life fighting what you can't change and building your life around what you can. Here's the problem. Most people blur the line. They act like everything is theirs to control, and in doing so, they control nothing. They believe they can control the way people treat them, the choices others make, the economy, the weather, the timing of opportunities, and when those things don't bend to their will, they feel powerless. But the Stoics understood something profound. Control is always an inside job. You cannot control events, but you can control your interpretation of them. You cannot control other people's actions, but you can control how you respond. You cannot control the outcome, but you can control the effort, the discipline, and the character you bring into the moment. Let me tell you why this matters so much for your day. Every time you give energy to something outside your control, you're robbing yourself of the energy to improve what's actually in your hands. You're trying to fix the unfixable while ignoring the place where you have real influence, your decisions, your focus, your attitude. If someone criticizes you, you can't stop their opinion. You can decide whether you let it poison your heart or fuel your growth. If life throws an obstacle in your way, you can't erase it, but you can choose whether you see it as the end of the road or the beginning of a new path. This isn't about pretending life is easy. Life will test you. Life will put you in situations where the temptation to resist what you can't change feels overwhelming. But in those moments, freedom is found in surrender, not surrender as in weakness. Surrender as in clarity. The moment you stop fighting the uncontrollable, you reclaim the power to act where it matters. Think about how much lighter your day would feel if you stopped obsessing over things that don't belong to you. Imagine waking up and saying, today I release the things I cannot control and I focus only on what's mine to direct. Suddenly, the argument from last week loses its grip. The anxiety about tomorrow doesn't strangle you. The noise of the world doesn't knock you off center. Why? Because you've chosen to ground yourself in what is real, what is present, what is yours. And it's not just about peace of mind. It's about effectiveness. You discipline yourself to only act where you have control. You become more productive, more focused, and more unstoppable. Instead of wasting hours complaining about circumstances, you spend those hours building skills, making decisions, moving forward. Instead of pointing fingers at the world, you turn the finger back to yourself and say, what can I do right now to change the trajectory of my life? That's power. That's ownership. That's how you take a day that could have been filled with frustration and turn it into your best day. But let's be real. This isn't easy. It takes constant awareness. The pull to get distracted by the uncontrollable is strong because it gives us the illusion of control. Complaining feels good for a moment. Worry feels like we're doing something. Anger feels like we're taking a stand. But at the end of the day, all it leaves us with is exhaustion. The discipline is to catch yourself in that moment, to pause and ask, is this in my control or not? And if the answer is no, then release it like a weight you were never meant to carry. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you don't want better outcomes for yourself or others. It means you're strategic. You're wise enough to know that fighting the rain doesn't stop the storm, but carrying an umbrella does. It means you've matured to the point where you're no longer a prisoner of circumstances, but a master of response. That's what living your best day truly is. Taking the same 24 hours as everyone else, refusing to let anything outside of you dictate the quality of your experience. Let me remind you of something powerful. The only thing you truly own is yourself, your thoughts, your actions, your character. Everything else is borrowed. Your health, relationships, your career, your possessions, they can all change, they can all be taken. But who you are, how you choose to respond, that belongs to you forever. That is your ultimate freedom. And when you live from that place, every day becomes lighter, clearer, and more meaningful. So I challenge you, when you walk out of here today, care this rule with you, every time you feel stressed, every time you feel angry, every time you feel overwhelmed, pause and ask, I'm trying to control something that isn't mine. And if you are, release it. Put your energy back into what is. Because when you do, not only will you reclaim your peace, you'll reclaim your power. The day is always in your control. When you stop trying to control the day, every single day you are faced with a choice. Do you react to life out of emotion, or do you respond to life out of virtue? That choice, though it may seem small in the moment, determines the entire quality of your day. Most people don't realize how much of their life is dictated not by what happens to them, but by the way they let their emotions pull them around like a storm. Someone insults them and they snap back in anger. Something doesn't go their way and frustration ruins the rest of their day. They feel fear, and so they freeze. They feel doubt, and so they quit. Their emotions, ungoverned, become their master. But here's the truth. When emotions run your life, you're not living freely, you're living as a puppet, with strings being pulled by every circumstance outside of you. The Stoics believed that the highest good was to live by virtue, courage, justice, wisdom, self-control. Because while you cannot control what comes at you, you can always choose how you meet it. And that choice is what separates a great day from a wasted one. Think about it. How many arguments have you had that didn't need to happen? They did because you reacted in anger. How many opportunities have you missed because you let fear hold you back? How many regrets do you carry because in the moment you let your emotions override your better judgment? Every single one of us has those moments. And if we're honest, most of the pain in our lives didn't come from the event itself. It came from our reaction to the event. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you encounter a problem. Instead of reacting out of anger, you choose courage. Instead of gossiping, you choose justice. Instead of giving into impulse, you choose self-control. Instead of being reckless, you choose wisdom. Suddenly, the same situation that could have destroyed your peace becomes the very thing that strengthens it. That is the power of living by virtue rather than emotion. And let's be clear, this doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or pretend they don't exist. You are human and emotions are part of that experience. You will feel anger, fear, sadness, and doubt. But the difference is this: you feel them, you acknowledge them, and then you decide not the emotion. When anger whispers, strike back. You pause and ask, what would courage or justice demand of me in this moment? When fear says, don't try, you ask, what would wisdom guide me to do? When temptation tries to lure you, you remind yourself that self-control is the path to freedom. That's discipline. That's mastery. And that's what makes your day unshakable, because no matter what storm comes, you are steering the ship with principles, not letting the waves toss you around. Think about the greatest leaders, thinkers, and even the people in your own life who you respect the most. It's not that they never feel emotion. It's that they don't let emotion drive the car. They let virtue drive, and they let emotion take the passenger seat. And because of that, they live with a sense of steadiness, of power, of clarity that most people spend their entire lives chasing but never find. But let's bring it back to you, to today. How many moments in your day are hijacked by emotion? Someone cuts you off on the road. Do you let anger consume you for the next 30 minutes? You get a text you didn't like. Do you let irritation carry into your next conversation? You feel a flash of fear about a big decision? Do you retreat and miss your shot? Every time you let emotion dictate your response, you hand over the keys of your life. And when you live like that, not living your best day, you are living someone else's day, controlled by their actions, their opinions, their mistakes. The Stoics taught that virtue is the only true good and vice the only true evil. Everything else, wealth, fame, power, is secondary. And when you live with that understanding, suddenly your day becomes much simpler. It's not about whether the world gave you everything you wanted. It's about whether you acted with courage, whether you acted with justice. You exercised wisdom, whether you had self-control. If you did, then no matter what happened around you, you had a great day. That's the kind of peace no one can take away. And let's be honest, it's hard to pause when everything in you wants to react. It's hard to take the higher ground when ego is screaming for revenge. It's hard to stay disciplined when every temptation is telling you to give in. But heart is where growth lives. Every time you choose virtue over emotion, you are training yourself, you are building a muscle. Just like going to the gym, it doesn't feel comfortable, but every rep makes you stronger. And over time, what once felt impossible becomes natural. You no longer have to think, how do I respond? You simply respond from strength because that's who you've become. And that's the goal, to become the kind of person who doesn't get shaken by every wind, doesn't lose themselves in every mood, who doesn't crumble under pressure. Because let me tell you something, if you can't control your emotions, you'll never control your life. But if you can live by virtue, nothing outside of you can ever control you again. So when you wake up tomorrow, remember this life will give you 1,000 chances to react, 1,000 chances to get pulled into anger, fear, envy, doubt. And in those moments, you have one decision to make. Do you react like everyone else, or do you rise above and respond with virtue? Do you let your emotions dictate who you are, or do you let your principles dictate who you are? That decision doesn't just shape your day, it shapes your destiny. And if you can commit to choosing virtue over emotion, even when it's hard, even when it feels unnatural, you'll find something extraordinary. You'll find a peace that circumstances can't shake. You'll find a strength that problems can't break. You'll find a clarity that emotions can't cloud. And that is the kind of day that is worth living, because your best day isn't built on how you feel. It's built on who you choose to be. If there's one thing that can transform an ordinary day into your best day, it's gratitude. Not the shallow kind where you just say, yeah, grateful, and move on. I'm talking about the deep, intentional practice of looking at your life, not someday in the future, not some version of you that doesn't exist yet, but right here, right now, and choosing to see the good. Because let's be real, most people don't live in the present. They're trapped in yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's anxieties. They spend their days replaying what went wrong or worrying about what could go wrong. And in doing so, they miss the only time that actually exists. This moment, this day, this breath. Gratitude is the anchor that pulls you back to now. It's the reset button for your mind and your emotions. When you practice gratitude, you're not just making a list of nice things. You're rewiring your brain to focus on what's working instead of what's broken, on what's abundant instead of what's missing. And that shift is everything, because whatever you focus on expands. If you focus on problems, they multiply. If you focus on blessings, they multiply too. Think about this, how many times you achieved something you once prayed for only to move past it so quickly that you barely even celebrated it. You got the job, then you wanted the promotion, you bought the car, but then you wanted the next model, you found love, but then you started focusing on the flaws. That's the trap of living without gratitude. You are always chasing, never arriving. The Stoics understood that if you cannot be content now, you will never be content with more. Gratitude doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you stop postponing happiness until life looks different. Here's what's powerful about it. You don't need anything to change in order to be grateful. Gratitude is not about circumstance. It's about perspective. Two people can live the same day. One sees it as a burden. The other sees it as a blessing. It's the difference. Gratitude. The first person wakes up complaining about how early it is. The second person wakes up thankful they got another chance at life. The first person grumbles about their commute. The second person is grateful they have somewhere to go. The first person complains about having too much to do. The second person is grateful they are needed. Gratitude doesn't change the situation. It changes you. And when you change, the entire quality of your day changes. But let's be honest. It's easy to be grateful when everything is going your way. The real test is when life hits you hard, when you lose the job, when the relationship ends, when the diagnosis comes. In those moments, gratitude feels impossible. And yet that's when it's most powerful. Because gratitude in the good times is appreciation. Gratitude in the hard times is strength. It's looking at pain and saying, even here, I will find something to be thankful for. Maybe it's the lesson you're learning. Maybe it's the resilience you're building. Maybe it's simply the breath still in your lungs. That kind of gratitude doesn't just make your day better. It makes you unbreakable. The challenge is that our brains are wired for survival, not happiness. They're built to look for danger, to scan for problems, to anticipate what could go wrong. That's useful if you're living in the wilderness trying to avoid predators. But in modern life, it means your mind naturally gravitates to negativity. Gratitude is the practice that rewires that instinct. It's training your brain to see not just the threats, but the treasures. And like any training, the more you do it, the stronger it becomes. So how do you live this in a practical way? You don't just feel grateful when it's convenient. You build it into your day. Maybe it's the first thing in the morning. You wake up and before you do anything else, you name 3 things you're grateful for. Not vague things, but specific ones. Maybe it's at night before you go to sleep. You reflect on what went right that day, however small. Maybe it's throughout the day, pausing in the middle of stress to ask yourself, what in this moment can I appreciate? These practices are simple, but don't confuse simple with weak. Simple done consistently becomes powerful. And it's not just about feeling better. Gratitude changes the way you show up in the world. A grateful person is more patient, more compassionate, more resilient. They're not desperate for validation because they're already full. They're not drained by comparison because they're already content. And because of that, they bring better energy to their work, their relationships, and their lives. People are drawn to them because gratitude is magnetic. When you walk into a room full of appreciation instead of entitlement, people feel it. You elevate not just your day, but there's two. Let's take it deeper. Gratitude is also a way of humbling yourself before life. It's recognizing that no matter how hard you've worked, much of what you have is a gift. The breath in your lungs, the sunrise in the sky, the chance to try again today, none of that is guaranteed. Gratitude is the antidote to arrogance because it reminds you that life is not owed to you. It's given to you. And when you live from that place, entitlement disappears. Complaining disappears. What's left is presence, appreciation, and joy. But here's what's important. Gratitude doesn't mean you stop striving. It doesn't mean you become passive or settle for less. It means you build from a foundation of abundance instead of lack. You don't chase success to fill a hole. You create from a place of fullness. You don't grind because you're empty. You grow because you're grateful for the chance to become more. That's the balance. Gratitude for what is, ambition for what could be. And when you live from that balance, your days become both fulfilling and exciting. So let me ask you, what are you waiting for to finally feel grateful? Are you waiting for the perfect job, the perfect body, perfect relationship, the perfect life? Because if you are, you'll be waiting forever. Gratitude is not about the perfect life. It's about recognizing the perfection in this life as it is, right here, right now. If you want to live your best day, every day, stop postponing joy. Stop waiting for someday. Start noticing today. Start honoring the breath in your lungs, the people who care about you, the opportunities in front of you, the lessons in your struggles. Don't let another sunrise pass you by without pausing to appreciate it, because the truth is the present moment is the only place your life will ever happen. And if you can learn to practice gratitude in this moment, you'll realize that your best day isn't out there somewhere in the future. It's already here. Every single one of us faces challenges. Every single one of us encounters moments when life doesn't go the way we planned. Obstacles appear out of nowhere when things feel unfair. And the truth is, most people see those moments as interruptions, as setbacks, as reasons to stop. They think, why me? Why now? Why is this happening? But if you want to live your best day, every day you have to flip that perspective. You have to start seeing challenges not as punishments, but as training grounds, not as walls to block you, but as weights to strengthen you. Because the obstacle is not the enemy. It's the teacher. It's the gym where you build the very muscles you'll need to live the life you're after. Think about it. No one ever grew stronger without resistance. You don't build muscle by lifting air. You build it by lifting something heavy. You don't build courage by avoiding fear. You build it by stepping into it. You don't build resilience by skating through easy times. You build it by enduring hardship and refusing to quit. The very things you're trying to avoid are often the very things shaping you into the person capable of more. The Stoics had a phrase, the obstacle is the way. They believe that the things we perceive as barriers are actually pathways to growth. When you start to live by that principle, everything changes. Suddenly you don't collapse when life gets hard. You don't shrink when you face resistance. Instead, you lean in. You recognize that every challenge is an invitation to become more than you were yesterday. Let me ask you this. Think back to the hardest moments of your life, the breakups, the failures, the losses, the disappointments. In the moment, probably felt unbearable. Maybe it even felt like the end. But now, looking back, aren't those the very moments that shaped you? Aren't those the moments that forced you to grow, to learn, to toughen up, to rise higher than you thought you could? You wouldn't be who you are today without those moments. So why, when a new challenge comes, do we still resist it? Why do we still act like life is supposed to be easy? It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to make you stronger. Here's what most people don't realize. Easy days don't shape you. Comfortable days don't forge character. Growth lives in discomfort. Strength lives in struggle. Every obstacle you face is life's way of asking you, do you really want it? You really committed? Will you push through or will you give up? And your answer to that question is what defines the quality of your day. Because the people who live their best days aren't the ones with no problems. They're the ones who refuse to let problems define them. Now, does this mean you should love every challenge? No. Pain hurts. Loss hurts. Struggle is real. You can respect it. You can honor it. You can meet it with the mindset that says, this is here for me, not against me. This is here to refine me, not to ruin me. And when you carry that mindset, even the darkest day can hold meaning. Even the hardest day can move you closer to who you're meant to be. Let me give you an image. Picture yourself in a weight room. Every weight on the rack represents a challenge in your life. The lighter weights are small problems. Traffic, annoying coworker, a missed call. The heavier weights are the bigger struggles, financial setbacks, broken trust, grief, failure. Now, you could walk past those weights and never touch them. You could avoid the pain, avoid the effort, avoid the sweat. If you do, you'll stay weak. You'll stay the same. Or you can walk up to those weights, grip them, and start lifting. It will be uncomfortable. It will stretch you. It will burn. But with every rep, you grow stronger. With every rep, you become more capable. And before long, what once felt impossible now feels natural. That's what challenges are doing for you every single day. They are handing you the weights that will build your strength if only you're willing to lift them. The truth is, you can't control whether challenges come, they will. You can't escape them. You can't negotiate your way out of them. You can't pretend they don't exist. What you can control is how you approach them. You can see them as the end of your day, or you can see them as the fuel for your best day. The choice is yours, and let's take it even deeper. The challenges you face aren't just shaping you for today. They're shaping you for tomorrow. They're preparing you for opportunities you can't yet see, for responsibilities you don't yet carry, for battles you haven't yet fought. Sometimes the struggle you're in today is building the strength you'll need for something greater in the future. You don't know what's coming, but life does. And it's training you now so you're ready when it arrives. That perspective alone can change everything. Instead of asking, why me? You start asking, what is this preparing me for? That single shift turns frustration into fuel. And don't forget, challenges don't just benefit you. They benefit everyone around you. Because when you go through struggle and come out stronger, you become an example. You become someone who can lead, someone who can inspire, someone who can guide others through their own storms. Your strength becomes their hope. Your resilience becomes their model. Your willingness to face your challenges head on becomes a gift not just to you, but to everyone connected to you. So the next time you feel resistance, the next time life puts a wall in your path, don't waste your energy complaining about it. Don't waste your day wishing it away. Instead, step back and say, this is my training ground. This is my chance to grow. This is my opportunity to live not just another day, but my best day. Because here's the truth. You don't get stronger by avoiding the weight. You get stronger by lifting it. And if you're willing to see your challenges through that lens, then no day is wasted. No struggle is meaningless. Every obstacle becomes fuel. Every hardship becomes a step forward. And every single day, no matter how hard, becomes a day that moves you closer to the life you were built to live. Because the obstacle isn't in the way. The obstacle is the way. One of the greatest thieves of joy, one of the biggest destroyers of peace, and one of the most consistent ways people ruin their own days is through comparison. You wake up feeling good, ready to take on the day, but then you scroll through social media and suddenly your mood shifts. Someone else has the body you wish you had, the car you dream about, the lifestyle you feel far away from, and without even realizing it, your energy drops. Your day is no longer yours because you've handed it over to someone else's highlight reel. And it's not just social media. It's your co-worker getting the promotion, your friend who always seems to be one step ahead, your neighbor whose house looks better, whose kids behave better, whose life looks smoother. Comparison poisons the moment. It takes your attention away from what you can do today and places it on what someone else already has. Here's the problem with that. You can never win when you play someone else's game. The Stoics knew this truth centuries ago. They taught that happiness and peace come when you focus on what is within your control. Nothing robs you of that focus faster than comparison. Because the moment you compare, you're trying to control someone else's path. You're measuring your worth by their timeline. You're weighing your progress by their accomplishments. The crazy part is you don't even know their full story. You don't see their struggles, their sacrifices, their sleepless nights. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. And the more you do it, the more you weaken yourself. You rob yourself of joy, and the more you waste the day you've been given. Here's the truth. Your life isn't supposed to look like anyone else's. Your journey isn't meant to match theirs. You've been given a unique set of experiences, challenges, and opportunities designed for you. And the moment you stop looking left and right and you start looking inward, you take back your power. You reclaim your energy. You stop trying to live someone else's story and you begin writing your own. Let's be real. Comparison is easy. It's everywhere. It's automatic. So how do you beat it? You beat it with gratitude. Gratitude is the antidote to comparison. Gratitude is what reminds you that no matter where you are, you already have enough to start living your best day. It doesn't mean you stop striving. It doesn't mean you give up on your goals. It means you stop despising the present because of what someone else has. Gratitude grounds you in the reality that this moment right here has value. Think about it. If you woke up this morning with breath in your lungs, with the chance to move your body, with people in your life who care about you, you already have more than millions of people in this world. You already have reasons to live today fully. But most people miss that because they're too busy staring at what they don't have. Gratitude shifts the focus. Gratitude says, I may not be where I want to be yet, but I have enough right now to make today meaningful. And when you live from that place, comparison loses its grip. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been so focused on chasing something that you missed the joy of where you already were? Maybe it was a job. You were desperate to get promoted, desperate to get that next role. And when you finally got it, you didn't even stop to celebrate. You were already comparing yourself to the next person above you. That's the trap of comparison. It never ends. No matter how high you climb, there's always someone higher. No matter how much you have, there's always someone with more. If your happiness is tied to outpacing others, you'll never win because the finish line keeps moving. The Stoics taught that the only finish line that matters is the one within yourself. You better today than you were yesterday. Did you use your gifts, your time, your energy to grow? Did you honor the opportunities in front of you instead of wasting them by staring at someone else's? That's the measure that matters. That's how you live your best day. not by winning someone else's race, but by running your own with everything you've got. And let's take it even deeper. Comparison doesn't just rob you of joy, it robs you of presence. When you're comparing, you're not here. You're not living this day. You're in your head playing a game that doesn't even exist, measuring yourself against people who probably aren't even thinking about you. And while you're busy doing that, life is moving. Opportunities are passing. Moments are slipping away. Imagine how different your life would feel if, instead of comparing, you fully engaged with your own day. Imagine how much lighter you'd feel if you carried gratitude instead of envy. Imagine how much more progress you'd make if all the energy you wasted on comparison was poured into building your own path. Gratitude doesn't just shift your emotions, it sharpens your vision. When you're grateful, you see opportunities you used to miss. You notice the beauty in small moments. You appreciate the people around you. You gain energy instead of draining it. Gratitude opens the door to joy, and joy fuels action. And when you act from joy, from fullness, appreciation, you don't just live a good day, you live your best day. Let me challenge you with something practical. Tonight, before you go to bed, write down 3 things you were grateful for today. Do it for a week and watch what happens. You'll notice your perspective change. You'll start seeing blessings you've overlooked. You'll catch yourself before you spiral into comparison. And little by little, gratitude will rewire the way you live your days. This isn't just theory, it's a discipline. Gratitude must be practiced just like strength, just like resilience. The more you practice, the stronger it gets. And here's the final truth. When you stop comparing and start living with gratitude, you not only transform your own life, you transform how others experience you. People feel the difference. They sense the energy. They see someone who's not bitter, not envious, not constantly chasing someone else's shadow, someone who radiates peace, confidence, and joy. That kind of presence is magnetic. It draws people in. It inspires them. It gives them permission to do the same in their own lives. So don't waste your days measuring your life against someone else's yardstick. Don't waste your energy wishing you had their story. Your best day doesn't come from comparison. Your best day comes from gratitude. And when you anchor yourself in that, you stop losing today by staring at someone else's tomorrow. Because the moment you choose gratitude over comparison, you win the only race that ever mattered, your own.